All right, finally, I get to talk about MLB. I haven't talked about baseball in a long while. It's really, I think probably June or July range, I think is when it would last been the time I got to speak about the MLB because I didn't want to screw anybody up, curse anybody postseason time. I talked good about the Reds, and then since then they fell out of the playoff race, and that was probably something to do with the Klinger curse. So to mitigate that, I decided not to talk about MLB until the playoff times, and here we finally are with the playoff prediction episode of the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 60 now, and we're also now on Apple Podcasts. So we're on Apple and Spotify. I don't think I'm going to expand to any other platforms. Maybe I'll get it on Amazon Music, but Apple, Spotify, and YouTube are three places you can find us. Obviously, you can follow us on Twitter at Sort of Sports Pod. And there's pictures Jokic across the board until, something big happens. I want to change it. I've been thinking about changing it, but I'm pretty happy with the Jokic picture. So I think we're going to rock with that for the time being. Maybe until the Bucks win the finals with Damian Lillard, and then it'll be that. Speaking of NBA predictions, it'll probably be within the next couple weeks. I think NBA season, when I gotta make sure NBA season start? October 24th. Yeah, so I don't have that much time. I mean, today's the 3rd, so I've got about exactly 3 weeks. So within the next probably 2 weeks, I should have that up somewhere in that range. So it'll be exciting to get the NBA predictions up. Always fun to hear me talk about the Bucks winning the finals. Because I think I've picked it every year but 2021. I think every year I've done an NBA predictions podcast. Right? Yeah, I think I've taken the Bucks to win the finals. Like at the beginning of the season. Because sometimes we're in the playoffs, I get cheeky and think, back when I used to be a Joel Embiid believer, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, but then the one time I didn't predict them, they won the finals. But I predicted them, I think, at the beginning of the year to win it. Regardless, the plan for this episode is I'm going to run down, just talk about some general talking points of the MLB. Then look at my predictions for the award winners, which really it's pretty cut and dry this year, so I won't have a ton to say about that. Then I'm going to look back at my original predictions from the beginning of the year, and then look at my April Fool's predictions, which oddly enough were more accurate, so that's pretty humorous. Then we're going to have my buddy RJ come on, and he's going to talk with me about our playoff predictions. He's going to do his, I'm going to do mine. He'll tell me how wrong I am. I'll laugh because I'm way too biased, and I love the Orioles because they have the same haircut as me, and then we'll giggle. I don't know if that's actually how I'll run down, but RJ will come on. We'll have a great time, talk about some playoff baseball. He's going to be watching the games with me a lot here at college, so it'll be a fun time. He's going to be watching the games. Maybe I'll have him come on again and talk about, maybe we'll do like a midway point. Since I've been doing an episode every Thursday, maybe after each round of the MLB playoffs, we'll also do an episode for that. So like every Thursday is my football podcast, and I think that'll probably eventually be the NBA slot. And then we'll have another episode throughout the week that's just wrap up from the divisional, wrap up from the wild card, wrap up from the pennant, that type of stuff. I don't know why I'm tossing the schedule out here, because now you're going to look back and go, oh man, he didn't follow through with that. And I'll be like, well, yeah, plans changed. Or you'll be like, great, he's doing an episode after every round. He's never done this before. And you didn't need to know the schedule. So, I'm just giving too much information. I'm too much of an open book. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you're probably one of my first listeners ever on the platform. So my first listener, I know who it was on Spotify. It was my homie Alexis. So shout out to Alexis. She's probably not listening to this episode. But if you're the person listening on Spotify, you're probably second ever. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you're probably first ever. And if you're Mason White, I appreciate you. Okay, so now I got that all the way. Let's just talk about some MLB. So the Orioles won 101 games. I just need everybody to take a moment. It became pretty normal that the Orioles were just like a really good baseball team. I think around July-ish, everybody was just like, yeah, they're really good. But I don't think we all take a moment to realize that this team last year, people were like, maybe a little frisky, might win around a 500 record, right? People don't realize how big of a jump this team took. They look great. And I think everybody makes jokes about the Braves becoming a dynasty because they've got great farm system, great players, all locked up in great contracts to keep them there forever. The Orioles can do the same thing. We could see the Orioles be perennially in the World Series hunt for the next 5 to 6 years, potentially 10 years, depending on how good this farm system is. I mean, it's pretty impressive just what the Orioles have been able to do as an organization. They used to be really a joke franchise, And now it's like, all right, they got Gunnar Henderson, and we all know he's a stud. Like, everybody knows he's a stud. And then, like, they're going to have Jackson Holliday coming up soon. Like, they've got a real team. And, I mean, don't even talk about – I mean, the team they currently have is great, too. So, I just think it's kind of just become commonplace to be like, yeah, the Orioles are really good. They can win the World Series this year. If they win the World Series this year, they could win it 3 more times before the end of the decade. Genuinely. Like, that's not even a crazy take, I would say. Like, the Orioles can be perennially in the World Series hunt, just like the Braves are currently. So I think, we could potentially be seeing the start of 2 potential dynasties. I don't know if dynasty is the right word, because in baseball, I mean, it's the hardest sport to be dynasties in. I feel like NBA out of the big 3 is the easiest. NFL is like the midpoint. Baseball, I feel like it's super hard, because sometimes things just go wrong. I mean, the Dodgers on paper have been the best team in baseball pretty much every year since like 2016. I would say it was the only year, like the last year they weren't the best team on paper. I think 17 onward they were the best. Now I think this year finally the Braves have taken over, and they only won one of those World Series, and it was a shortened season. I did see somebody saying that they think this is a year I would absolutely hate after we had such a fun MLB season, great year, like it was an exceptional baseball season, that it ends with the Dodgers win. That would just suck. It would absolutely suck. Especially when like every other team I think is more fun, other than the Astros. But like Phillies would be fun, Marlins would be crazy fun, Brewers would be fun, Diamondbacks would be amazing, Orioles would be amazing, Rays would be fun, Blue Jays would be pretty fun, Twins is boring as hell, Rangers is super fun. So like really, Astros, Dodgers easily the worst 2, and then Twins is just boring. It's very boring. Okay. What else did I want to talk about? The White Sox, I hate them now because I was there for the Down Goes Anderson game, and they've also disappointed me in 2022 and 2021. So permanently dislike the White Sox. Will I even buy their hat for my collection? Maybe not. They've really pissed me off. Red Sox, 78 and 84. The only team to not have a winning record in the AL East. That just speaks to the strength of that division. I mean, the Yankees, everybody's like, man, Yankees had a real down year. They did. They definitely did. But 82 wins, they had, out of the teams not making the wild card, they had the second best record. The only team that had a better record than them that did make the wild card was the Mariners. So, I mean, that just speaks to what a bad season for the Yankees is. And as a Yankees hater, I love the fact that they missed it, but I am just pointing out, like, it wasn't like everything just went to shambles for them. Who else do I want to talk about? Guardians, I'm really concerned about that franchise, what the direction's going to be without Terry, without, I forget their GM's name, but he's leaving. I'm really concerned about that franchise just falling into the dumpster, because I think Terry's kind of been carrying that organization because he's so great. So I'm really concerned about the Guards, so hopefully they can figure that out. Mets, obviously, huge disappointment. Padres, huge disappointment. We're going to have to talk about them later. Padres won 82 games, same as the Yankees. But, gosh, the Padres were not anywhere near as good as everybody thought they'd be, me included. Pirates really started fun, and then they ended 76 and 86. That was a fun team. Hopefully Paul Skeens can get really good in the minors and get up there and be killing it. And, they can pull the Taylor Swift cut to her, but they'll do that with Livy Doon. They'll cut to her during his games, so that'd be funny. But obviously, Taylor Swift is way more of a celebrity than Livy Doon is. But I do think it's funny. It was so weird. Like, that thing was like rumored, and then it was just like, yeah, they're dating. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. Kind of it seemed like a joke, and then it was real. Whereas the Taylor Swift Kelsey thing, I actually bought that from the jump. Here I am. Okay, I'm gonna mention this on episode 61. I wasn't gonna talk about it in this episode. I think I'm the only football guy that actually likes the Taylor Swift Travis Kelsey thing. Everybody I know is like, oh, I don't care. I like it. I think it's fun. I kind of love it. I read some articles about it. I've been listening a little more of her music than I used to. I'm into this. I actually really enjoy it, and I love Trav. So I think it's fun. So that's just me. I think I tweeted out, am I the only guy who watches NFL that doesn't, isn't tired of the Taylor Swift thing? And, I didn't get any likes, but I also didn't get any comments. That's standard for most of my tweets. But that means there's no differing opinion. So everybody must agree with me and just be like, oh, yeah, that's solid. But I don't feel like liking it. That's definitely what everybody thought. I'm sure thousands of people saw it. I forget the fact that Twitter has a view feature. Don't look at the views on that tweet. It's probably like 30. And they probably just went by like, wow, that guy. Okay. But no, I'm being serious. I really enjoy the Taylor Swift thing. I think it's fun. That was supposed to be on. I'm still talking about it for the next episode, but I'll mention it here. Yeah, so the Reds, They ended 82-80, same record as the Yankees and Padres. I wanted them to make playoffs. I thought it'd be really fun, and then that obviously didn't happen. The Brewers really took control of that division in August and September. They really just grabbed a hold of it and did not let go. As far as worst team in baseball, it's easily the Athletics at 50 wins. The only team closest to the Royals at 56. Oh, man, I think the Athletics are going to be really good in 10 years because they're going to go to Vegas, and they're going to get money, and their owner's going to spend it, and they're just going to be good, like out of nowhere. And they're going to put money in their prospects, and they're going to do really well. But that won't be for like 5 years. If I'm going to pick an MLB team to be a fan of, maybe I should pick the Athletics because right now I could get in and everybody would be like, oh, they're so bad. It's cool that you bandwagon to them. And then in like 10 years and they're killing it, I'll be like, yeah, I've been here since 2023, the year they won 50 games. I do love their gear, so I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about doing that. But now, everybody knows my plans. Everybody who heard this podcast knows I'm a dirty liar. I'm not a liar, but everybody knows I've got a secret little plan. Okay, so we're going to do the awards predictions. I actually don't have much to say, because it's pretty straightforward this year. MVP, NL, Ronald Acuna. AL, Shohei Ohtani. Even though Shohei's season got cut short, he was the best player in baseball. Everybody knows he deserves it. The only person who looks like a maybe better baseball player is Ronald Acuna, so that's why he's winning NL, but Shohei is best. NL Cy Young, Blake Snell. He was the best pitcher in the NL. AL Cy Young, Garrett Cole. I don't like him, but he was the best pitcher in the AL. NL Rookie of the Year, Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll, somebody said this to me the other day, and it's so perfect. It's like Corbin Carroll was so good as a rookie that most people don't even realize he's a rookie. That's very true. I forgot Corbin Carroll was a rookie. He's that good. People just think he's been playing in the league a while. He hasn't. He's a rookie. He's great. AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson. We all knew he'd be amazing. He was amazing. Gunnar Henderson deserves it. The Orioles won 101 games. The Orioles had the second – sorry, my bad. Third best – no, yeah, second. They had the second best record in baseball. Dodgers only had 100 wins. Yeah, the second best record in baseball. The Orioles only lost 3 more games than the Braves. The Braves won 104 games. The Orioles won 101. That's how good this team is. Gosh. Also, funny thing, the Braves were perfectly 52 and 52. So they won 52 games home and 52 games away. Just thought that was interesting. They can play anywhere, boys. So, yeah, it's pretty intriguing, actually. You know what honestly that is like most teams are around that. It's baseball, everything naturally kind of divvies up to 50-50. Like most teams that win 100 games are in that range. It's not usually a huge deviation, but it's fun to act like it means something. For NL manager, it's a little okay. I'll start AL manager. AL manager of the year, it's gonna be Brandon Hyde for the Orioles, for obvious reasons. And then NL manager of the year. This is like the only award that I don't think is super cut and dry. I do think it's going to be Craig Counsell, who's the Brewers manager, or Torey Lovullo. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I don't get to watch a lot of D-backs games. So I think it's Torey Lovullo or Lovolo. I don't know. Lovullo is what I'm going to go with. He's the D-backs manager. A part of me thinks like they're going to go with him because the D-backs really turned it around from last year. I mean, they were significantly better. Let me look at their record last year. Last year, the D-backs won 74 games. This year, they won 84 games. So, I mean, not a huge improvement, but, like, you could see it on the field. It felt like a completely different team. Whereas last year, the Brewers won 86 games. This year, they won 93. It's not as big of a difference. No, sorry, this year they won 92. So, nine-game difference as opposed... I mean, they're both about the same difference. But, like, the Brewers have kind of been, like, around the top of the division perennially, whereas the Diamondbacks have been perennially at the bottom of that division. So, I think he's got a decent chance to win it. Torey Lovullo? Torey, so I'm going to go with Torey. Torey, I think, is a good shot. I'm going to go with Craig Counsell because I do think there's something to be said where the Brewers don't really have anybody that people are like, man, this guy for the Brewers. But they're consistently good, and he makes good adjustments, and he's smart. And that's the type of manager that deserves manager of the year. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with Craig Counsell for the Brewers. Okay, now we're going to look back, all the way back to episode 44 at my MLB predictions. Oh, boy. Okay, for the AL East. Coming in first, I had the Blue Jays, who had the best record in baseball, in my opinion. The Rays, the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox. So Red Sox were last. Yankees I had making the playoffs, and I didn't like doing that, but I felt like I had to. Then the Rays came in second, which was right. I did have the Rays coming in second. So, not terrible, but having the Orioles fourth is just not a good look now. AL Central, I had Twins, Guardians, Tigers, White Sox, Royals. Almost perfect, except it was Twins, Tigers, Guardians, White Sox, Orioles. I feel pretty good about that one. AL West, I had Astros, Mariners making a wild card spot. Angels, Rangers, Athletics. I don't know why I didn't buy in on the Rangers. I don't know what I thought about the Rangers, but I had faith in them for some reason. I should go back and listen to what I was saying, but I had no faith. And I think I just misspoke and said I had faith. What I meant to say is I had no faith. I had no faith in them for some reason, and they were good. And I always believe in the Angels more than I should, so that's why I had them. I almost put them in the playoffs, I remember. Gosh, that was... I don't know why I ever thought that. Yeah, so I did have the Astros winning it, which is a good look. But the Rangers having the same record as them is crazy. Okay. Because they both won 90 games this year. I would never have thought that. All right, NL East. I had the Braves, Mets, Phillies, Marlins, Nationals. I should have went with what my heart wanted and put the Marlins in the freaking playoffs because I know that's what I wanted. I love the Marlins. I should have done it. Jazz, or Luis Arias, Sandy Alcantara, even though he's been bad this year. It's a fun team. I should have went with my heart and put him in there, and I didn't because that's what happened. It was Braves, Phillies, Marlins, Mets, Nationals. Pretty much the same thing as mine, except you swap. No, you don't even swap. No, you just take the Mets and put them fourth and then shift everybody up. The Nationals were still last. But I did have the Braves number 1. I thought they'd have the second best record in the NL. Second to the Padres, of course. Which is... Yeah, the Mets, obviously, a major disappointment. Phillies, I did believe in making the playoffs, which was good for me. Marlins, I should have in my heart and put them in the playoffs. NL Central, I had it Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates, Reds. It was Brewers, Cubs, Reds, Pirates, Cardinals. Really nothing right at all here. Not a single team is in the right spot except for the Pirates at 4. And I guess I just thought the Cardinals were going to do well because they did the year before. I don't think I had too much to say on that. So, yeah, not my best work. NL West, here we go. Padres with the best record in the NL. Dodgers, Giants, D-backs, Rockies. It ended up Dodgers, D-backs, Padres, Giants, Rockies. Rockies being last was correct, obviously. D-backs were exceptionally better than I thought they'd be. Giants were a little worse than I thought they'd be, and Padres were way worse than I thought they'd be. I feel like MLB predictions is usually my worst predictions, but I also think baseball is the least predictable sport, so I feel like it's in my defense. Except for the 2022 NFL season, where I took the Super Bowl to be, I think it was Chargers over, Niners, I think is what I did that year. And I had the Chargers beating the Broncos in the AFC Championship. Yeah, and then the Chargers, I think, made the playoffs and then lost to the Jaguars after blowing the huge lead because Brandon Staley's an idiot. And the Broncos obviously did terrible, and they're still doing terrible. And then the Niners did well. But, yeah, I remember that was not my best work. So, I don't think I did terrible this year. Definitely not amazing, though. I'd say, I had some things right, but not the best. Probably a 4 out of 10 maybe. Now let's look at back at my April Fool's podcast predictions. So for NL MVP, I had Shohei because he was going to get traded to the Marlins and win NL MVP. I would say it's a win because I knew Shohei. I think I'm doing this as a joke, but still Shohei did win an MVP. I mean, he's going to win AL. AL MVP I had Gunnar Henderson. He's going to win AL Rookie of the Year. So I think this is still pretty decent. NL Cy Young, I had Shohei. There was somebody I saw on Twitter saying that he should be at least in the voting because he was great. I kind of agree. So, AL Cy Young, I did Mike Trout. This was hilarious to me. I've seen him saying that he thought since Shohei could do it, I can do it. That's really funny. Obviously not true at all. And then my World Series was Marlins over Orioles in 3 because it's such a blowout they decided to end it. That was the joke. Here's the thing. Marlins over Orioles, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the Marlins are going to get even out of the wild card round. I think that Phillies team's too hot. But Marlins over Orioles is a possible matchup. Right now, in October, Marlins versus Orioles could happen. Whereas my original World Series prediction, let's go back, was... Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. Let me go back to where it was. My original World Series prediction was Padres over Mariners, which neither team made the playoffs. For those of you wondering, my AL pennant was Mariners over Astros, and my NL pennant was Padres over Braves. So, overall, my joke predictions were more accurate than my real predictions. For those of you wondering my award predictions, it was AL MVP Carlos Correa, nowhere close. NL MVP Juan Soto. He did play every game of this year, all 162. Props to my guy Juan, I love you. But no. AL Cy Young, I had Zach Greinke. I just thought it would be a fun pick. It didn't feel like going with Garrett Cole. Probably should have. NL Cy Young, Spencer Strider. He does not deserve it. There's a couple people saying he should have it. His win-loss record. Who was using win-loss record for Cy Young? Please, stop. That's embarrassing. So, no. AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson was correct. NL Rookie of the Year, Jordan Walker. That guy was, hyped up for the Cardinals, so I remember picking him. I don't even know if he's still, playing for them. He might be back to the minors. AL Manager of the Year, I had Kevin Cash for the Rays, and NL Manager of the Year, I had Bob Melvin for the Padres. Bob Melvin's definitely not happening. Kevin Cash, I feel like it's really not that amazing of a pick because, the Rays doing well is not, a crazy take. So, yeah, I don't think my joke predictions were more accurate than my real predictions. That's of course. Let's look back at anything else on this podcast I talked about that was fun. It says mention how you've been bumping SOS by SZA. And then jump to wait, Lamar requested a trade and cut off the episode. I think I remember doing that. I like doing that where a big plot line from another sport that I wasn't talking about that episode. And I'll be like, wait, this, and then it cuts. I think it's cute. I think it's pretty humorous. I like to do that. Lamar requesting a trade. I don't even remember that. Did he requested a trade? What? I do remember listening to SZA. I actually just played her the other day. She's gas. Love SZA. I made a joke in the description. Yeah, for those of you that are new to listening, because you found me on Spotify or something, if so, thank you. I don't know how you did that, but you're great. The descriptions of each episode have little jokes in them. So, and those descriptions I think are on Apple Podcasts, and I know they're on Spotify. I should make sure the descriptions follow over to Apple Podcasts. Did Lamar trade request? I forget this completely happened. Yeah, that was March. Yeah, he did request a trade. Wow. That's so weird. It was never even talk about that now. Gosh. That's crazy. That's actually, that's completely crazy. I completely forgot that happened. Because I remember I wanted him to go to the Jets. Oh my gosh, that Jets team would have been so good with him. Wow. All right, that's crazy. Okay. Well, this has been my part of the show. I'm going to bring RJ on. We're going to do playoff predictions for this year, baby. It's going to be way more accurate than last year when I picked the Mets and they lost in the wild card. I can't wait. He's going to be on here in one moment. All right, we got my buddy RJ here. RJ, this is the first podcast you've been on?
Yeah, pretty excited to be here. Do a little MLB playoff prediction, so excited to be here.
Yeah, and I was just saying, RJ's listened before and told me it was terrible, so he's here to step it up.
Did not say that.
I know, I'm just fooling around, but RJ, we'll probably have him come back on if we end up doing an episode. By we, I mean him and I. He'd come back on maybe after the wild card. We can talk about happening that, and we'll do an episode after every round's over.
It works.
You're going to be watching the games with me anyway, and then maybe we'll have some other special guests come on. I mean, we can have 3 people crowd around one mic. It's going to be really crazy.
Got to do what you got to do.
We also have a live audience sitting here as Ben is going to sit here and watch us record. I've never had that happen before, so this will be a whole new element. So, RJ, I was going to start us. You said you had some stats you wanted to read off?
As we go. So just you tell us where to go, and I'll just
All right,
talk about
that sounds great. All right, make sure. I looked back at my previous predictions on my April Fool's podcast. I said as a joke that I thought the World Series would be Marlins over Orioles, which is hilarious because it was more accurate than my real prediction, which was Padres over Mariners. So, yeah. My April Fool's is actually smarter than my real one. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the AL all the way up through the pennant, and then we'll switch over, do the NL all the way through the pennant, and then we'll do the World Series. Does that sound good?
That works.
All right, so for the AL wild card, let's do first matchup. We got Twins versus the Blue Jays. The Twins are the 3, and the Blue Jays are the 6. So what are you thinking here?
Looking at these two teams, both good pitching teams, really good pitching teams. Both have very good starting pitching and a pretty good bullpen. So they're pretty even there. Blue Jays have a very good defensive outfield, so I would think that will help them there. And Blue Jays have actually been struggling a little bit offensively this year, I think they should be a little bit better than what they have been. They got some good bats there. I'm going to go Blue Jays here just because I think it's their year finally. I think the bats are going to come alive a little bit more for them. Twins do got some young guys. They actually have one of the better younger teams in the league. They got a good lineup, but I think the Blue Jays got a little more firepower with the bats, and they got Gausman, Barrios, and who's their other starter going?
I can't remember off dome. You want me to look it up for you?
It's fine. They got some good starting pitching though with Gausman, and not Twins do as well, but a little more firepower in the bats. So I think I'm gonna go with Blue Jays in this series, and I think I'm gonna actually have them take it in 2. They're gonna win the first 2, and I have them moving on.
It says right now that Hendricks possible, maybe. I don't know why
Definitely
it says
not.
him. It's Blue Jays starting pitcher. I'm like, I don't think that's possible, guys. Don't even think he's on the team.
I think it's gonna be Gausman.
Barrios. It doesn't have anybody who
Let me look real quick.
No, I'm trying to look here on the Blue Jays site. I'm not getting anything. Bassett.
Gausman, Bassett,
And then they got Hyunjin Ryu.
Yeah.
And then Kikuchi.
Yeah. So and then they could use Kikuchi out of the bullpen as well. He doesn't have to be a starter.
Yeah. Pull a little Rays trick. Use the starter as a reliever. I love it when the Rays do that.
Yeah.
So you said Blue Jays in 2?
I'm gonna take Blue Jays in 2. Yeah.
That's exactly what I had written down too.
All right,
I
we
also
agree.
had Blue Jays in 2. I think
agree there.
the bats are going to come alive. Pretty much
Yeah.
everything you said. I'm also just not a fan of this Twins team. I think they came out of a pretty shitty division, and I wish the Guardians would have won it anyway because I don't think that division's any good. So I don't believe much in this Twins team. That's just me.
One thing I would like to add with the Twins is I think over the last month and a half they have had like the 3rd best offense in baseball. So they have been guns a-blazing as of late, but I think it's the Blue Jays' year, and I could see them making a little bit of noise in this playoff, so I have them winning the first 2 games and taking the series over the Twins.
All right, great. Let's move over to the other wild card matchup. We got the 4 Rays versus the 5 Rangers. RJ, what are you thinking here?
This is a tough one. It's in the Trop for the first 2 games. Is that it?
I think I'll check for you, but you.
Trop's
keep
a
going.
tough place to play, and this is a tough one because the Rangers lineup is one of the best in baseball. Super dangerous. It's fully healthy. Rookie Evan Carter has looked amazing. Super dangerous lineup, and they're pretty much fully healthy there, the bats. Pitching-wise for them, a little bit tougher. Starting pitching is injured, beat up. They have Montgomery and Evaldi, I know. I don't know who the third starter they're throwing out is, but they have a Montgomery and Evaldi for the first 2 games. And I do like that, but the problem with this Rangers team is the bullpen. They have been struggling all year. Chapman has not looked good with them. He's been blowing a lot of games. They lost that division title to Houston. Bullpen does not look good. I think if they can get 6, maybe 7 innings even out of Evaldi and Montgomery, they could have a chance with those bats. But you don't want to have your starter knocked out in the 3rd inning because that bullpen, not it.
Not a lot of relievers there.
No, compared to the Rays, who they lost McClanahan.
That's their bread and butter is their relievers.
Their relievers are unreal. They have, even starting wise, they have McClanahan is going. They have
obviously Tyler Glass now.
Not McClanahan. Yeah, Glasnow is what I meant. Glasnow, Eflin, and Savali, I think would be it. That's a good 1, 2, 3. And with that bullpen, if they could, get some timely hits, they could, 3-1 game, 4-2. They could squeeze out a few here. I think.
Obviously, Randy Arozarena is the new Mr. October. That dude
Yeah.
cooks it up in the playoffs, so that's a big piece for them.
He's a big bat in the playoffs. Yandy Diaz won the batting title. I think, as good as that Rangers lineup is, I'm going to go Rays. It's in the Trop. I'm going to take Rays in 3.
Yeah, I looked it up. I didn't realize it's how the wild card worked, but every game is at the higher seeds place, so it's never going to the nice field in Arlington. So you're saying Rays in 3.
Rays in 3, I think.
Well, here's my thing. The Rangers were a team that got hot mid-September and then cooled off at the end. So I'm kind of stuck here. Whereas the Rays, I never like to pick a team that peaked early. I mean, they had their best baseball up until like June-ish. That's when they were playing their peak. And then they slowed down. They were still really quality, don't get me wrong, but the Orioles became the best team in the AL. And I would say the Astros even played better than the Rays to a point, some points in July. That was a lot of points. July and August and September. So I'm going to go with the Rangers in 5. I do think it goes. Why did I say 5? I was reading the wrong thing. My bad. Rangers in 3 here. It'd be really crazy if we went 5 games. I mean, that'd be a real problem if I predicted that. But I'm going to go Rangers in 3 here just because I think it's 2 teams I don't like to do. I don't like to pick a team that just went cold, and I don't like to pick a team that peaked early. I'm going to go with Texas. I do think, like you said, the Rays have better pitching, but I kind of believe more in the Rangers' bats. Really, there's only two batters I really like for the Rays, and it was the two we mentioned. So,
Yeah.
Diaz and Arozarena.
You got me second questioning myself here. Look at this Rangers lineup, fully healthy. Simeon, Seager, Garcia, Lau, Heim, Josh Young. Is that how you pronounce it?
Maybe. I'm not sure on that one.
Evan Carter, he's been balling. He's a rookie.
I just like their lineup more.
I'll stick with the Rays, but I think it's going to 3, I think. And I could see either team winning it. Two different teams, two dangerous teams, but I'll stick with the Rays.
All right. The battle of the R's, the Rays and the Rangers. All right, so going to my ALDS then, I'm going to have Orioles Blue Jays, which you'll also have because they reseed and everything, and then Astros Rangers is what I have. You would have Astros Rays. So
Okay.
Orioles Blue Jays, what are you thinking there?
I think I'm going to ride with Toronto. Yeah. I think I'm going to, though. I think
For those of you at home, I'm sitting back with my hands up. I'm shocked.
I
You and I have talked about the Orioles off air, like very positively.
right. Yeah, and they're an amazing young team. Love what they got going on there. But I think I'm loving the Blue Jays pitching a little bit too much. The starting pitching is pretty elite. Their bullpen they got about 8th best bullpen in baseball right now. And I think if the bats can come alive, I think I have them going on a little run here. Baltimore team, very good. They still have one of the best bullpens in baseball, a little bit better than Toronto's. But they did lose Felix Bautista through the rest of next year as well, so that's kind of a bummer. Hopefully he gets better soon. Toronto, but their starting pitching is not quite as good as Toronto's, and they got a lot of young guys, and they very well could piece it together and go on a run here. But I think this is where their magic runs out, and I have Toronto knocking them off here.
I do agree. Toronto does have better starters, and I always say pitching wins playoffs. I'm really going against all the things I always say. I tell you, pitching wins playoffs. Don't pick a team that just got cold, and here I am. I'm going to take the Orioles in 3 here. I think the Orioles are going to manhandle them because I just think this Orioles a good vibes team, and sometimes teams like that just carry well. They got great energy. I feel like they go into every game feeling like they're going to win, and any team that plays like that can go a long way in the playoffs. That's how the Phillies did it last year. Sometimes you're just a team that's got good energy, and that brings you places. So I'm really high on the Orioles. You know that. So I'm taking the Orioles in 3 here. But I get what you're saying. I mean, I think we've had a great MLB season, a lot of competitiveness, and I think the AL is a little more competitive than the NL. And so I get what you're saying completely about the Blue Jays. I rock with this Orioles team.
I get it.
You know, me and Gunnar Henderson, the one fan said I looked like him, so I took that to heart.
Yeah, I'm looking at OPS here. Orioles are at 13th overall. Blue Jays are at 11. Pitching ERA. Blue Jays are at 4. Orioles are at. Lost him here. Orioles are at 7. Orioles had the better record though. I think they've won more one-run games. They have a great vibe, great atmosphere.
101 wins.
Yeah. Very impressive. I think I'm gonna go with. I think it's the Blue Jays' year finally. They have a very well put together team, very well.
If you take the Blue Jays here, though, you're taking them through, though. Like you're taking them through the pennant at least, right?
Well, we're not there yet.
Okay. All right. We'll move
Relax.
on then. We'll move on. All right. So next up, I have Astros v Rangers. You got Astros v Rays. Preview that one for me.
Okay. Obviously, we know this Astros team is dominant. They didn't look like they were going to win the West all year, and then here they are at the very end, last day of the season, they squeeze it out. They've got a good bullpen, a little bit better than the Rays. They got good starting pitching. It has not looked as good as last year. Verlander's not quite as good as he was last year. Same with Valdez, I think. But they're both, still some of the best in baseball. They got a phenomenal lineup. I mean, they shred. Tucker's one of my favorite players in ball. He's super underrated, I think, still. All around great player. We know what Altuve and Bregman are going to do. We know what Yordan Alvarez is going to do. Very well put together team. They always manage to get it done. Rays, on the other hand, we've talked about them already. I don't know if they have the bats to compete. I have the Houston taking this one here, and I'm going to say taking 4.
I think it's based off. I do think if the Rays play the Astros, it's gonna be it's gonna be curtains pretty quick. I think this Astros team's a real legit team. That's why I have them going to the Rangers in 7. But I have the Rangers winning, and I know on paper I think the Astros are a better team. But there's one thing that puts me on the Rangers team. Both these teams' lineups. You look at them 1 to 9. It feels like there's not a hole in the lineup at all. I mean, both these teams got 2 incredible offensive barrages coming at you every time you face them pitching wise. I think their pitching staffs are relatively equal, and it'd be a different story if the Rangers had DeGrom healthy, right? Then they'd have clearly the best pitcher in this series, but they don't. And what the Rangers do have is, I think, relatively similar to the Astros, and I think they both have big offensive teams. The reason I'm taking the Rangers here is because the last game of the season they played against the Astros, and it was high energy, and the Astros won. I think that pisses them off and pushes them over the hump.
Revenge series.
Yellow revenge series here for the AL West.
I like it.
So, they both finished the season with the same record. The Astros, I think it wasn't the same record. Am I wrong? Let me check to make sure.
I think they did.
I think they had the exact same record, and yeah, they did. And so I think I think when you're a Ranger, you're kind of like, okay, screw you guys, battle for Texas. We should have won the division, and I think they edge it out. But they also could win it in 4. I feel like it's either Astros in 4 or Rangers in 7. There's no way the Rangers get it done in 7 or less, maybe 6 if they're lucky. So.
Yeah, Houston, they got Verlander, Valdez, Javier. All 3 of them have been. Javier started the season kind of slowly. He's been picking up as of late. 4.5 ERA, 1.27 WHIP.
Alvarez is obviously the big bat. I love him.
Yeah.
He's great player.
Hunter Brown, he's kind of fallen off as of late, but I still think he's going to be a stud. Yeah, taking Houston here. So
You're keeping it. So you got your pennant is Houston v. Blue Jays.
Correct.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. I'm going to ride with Toronto still. I'm going to stick to it. Everything I said. The thing is for me here, I have it going to 6, I think. My thing here is team that won it the last year, don't like repicking them. Don't have them going back. You can see it's not quite the same team as last year. Pitching's not quite as good. Bullpen's not quite as good.
You definitely don't pick the Astros to repeat pennant wins when they've gotten worse.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean.
I think they lost a little bit of their magic they had last year. I think Toronto, I didn't even think they looked that great all year. I didn't think the offense looked that great. I think the pitching's been really good, especially the starting pitching with Gausman and those boys. But yeah, I'm going to ride with Toronto. Little postseason run here, little postseason magic, so I'll stick with it.
I did not expect you to come on this podcast and tell me Toronto was winning the AL, but I
did
love it. I love it. It's great. No, it's more fun that way. It'd be boring if you and I just both sat here and talked about how much we love the Orioles for 20 minutes. It wouldn't be. I can do that myself. I need you to come in here and give me some different
a little
opinions.
spice.
I'm already on here just giving the Orioles all the credit. You got to come in here and calm me down. I am going to take the Orioles over the Rangers in 6. I think this Orioles team's magic, baby. Isn't that a song? I think they did a thing. Orioles Magic? I think that's a little bit.
Yeah, no idea.
I think Orioles Magic is a thing. Ben, confirmed?
I don't know.
I think Orioles Magic is like a... Let me look this up real quick.
One thing I will give to the Orioles is Kyle Bradish. He has been... He's been smoking. 2.8 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. He's been money. I love him. Grayson Rodriguez looks like a future ace. He's been unreal, especially the past couple months of the year. Started off kind of slow. Got demoted. He was in the minors a little bit. Came back. Ever since he came back, dude has been money. Absolute money. I think Bradish and Rodriguez is a really good one, too. Dean Kramer, he's been really solid for them. Tyler Wells, he finally came back, but he's in the bullpen now. So, and he's, they lost Bautista. They had to get some guys back there. They got John Means back in the starting rotation. They picked up Fujinami at the trade deadline. I do like their bullpen, even without Felix Bautista. The starting rotation's not amazing, but I think they have some good young guys who are going to fight there. And I got a magical lineup with a lot of good bats, so wouldn't be surprised if they made a little bit of a run.
I really appreciate the fact you came on and you supported my argument for me. It's very nice of you. This made it a lot easier for me. You're over here like, you know what, Ryan, this is why you could be right. And you're giving great evidence for my argument. I appreciate you. I looked it up. The Orioles Magic term came from the team's success during the late 70s. Popped up again when the O's won it all in 83 with Cal Ripken and all that shebang. So, yeah, it's Orioles Magic. That's actually a real term they like to use. They have shirts
There
that
you
say
go.
Orioles Magic. So I'm in for the Orioles Magic, baby, having them win the AL pennant.
Yeah, and whatever happens the rest of this postseason for the Orioles, you just gotta. I mean, Orioles fans gotta feel good about what they got there and be more. I mean, in the future too. I mean, Jackson Holliday, I think he might be the opening day shortstop for them next year. He looks amazing. And the minors right now, I mean, they just have guys on guys there. I mean, they're loaded from top to bottom, minors, majors. They're going to be the next dynasty in the AL for the next 10 years. So
Yeah, I did say if the Braves and Orioles, I feel like for the next 8 to 10 years are going to be
Yeah, they'll be
competing.
fighting.
I'd be shocked if they miss the playoffs more than once in the next 10 years.
right.
All right, you ready to switch it over to NL?
All right. So wait, out of the AL recap, I have Blue Jays and you have Orioles, right?
Yep.
All right. NL time.
All right, NL time. So let's start. I'll start off once again with the 3-6 matchup. We're gonna go Brewers versus Diamondbacks. What are you thinking?
Taking Brewers with the sweep here. Oh, okay. You know what? I don't know if I thought that through when I said that. This is tough. Brewers. I mean, both teams. Game 1 and 2. Burns Woodruff. Or is Woodruff playing? Oh no, he's out for the wild card. Ooh.
That's interesting because the pitching is what does it for the Brewers. That's why they're such a quality team.
Yeah, but he goes down and Freddie P steps right up. Freddie Peralta. He's a dime piece. We got Burns and Peralta for Milwaukee, and then Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly for Arizona. That's tough. Because so Burns and Peralta versus Gallen and Kelly. I mean, that's about as even as it gets, I think.
Zach Gallen's a stud.
Zach Gallen. I'd even give Arizona the edge there, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Arizona also has the bats advantage over Milwaukee. Other thing is the bullpen. And I think bullpen matters a lot in the postseason. Brewers had the second best bullpen in baseball this year with a 3.4 ERA. And Diamondbacks had a 4.22 ERA. They were around 20. But in a 2-game wild card? Or 3-game. Could be 2. That's tough. Brewers got Yelich, Contreras, Adames. I mean, they have guys. Sal Frelick's been balling out.
They got solid guys, but the Diamondbacks definitely have a better lineup.
They have a better lineup. And Gallen and... The thing is, if it goes to a 3rd game, Milwaukee has... Who do they have going? Adrian Hauser? Maybe? Wade Miley, probably. They have Wade Miley, who compared if you go to Arizona, they'll probably got... Brandon... I don't even know who they would have going. So, this is... You go first for this one. I'm stumped.
Okay. I feel like this Brewers team is one of those weird teams that's like an ankle biter team when I talk about in the NFL, where you just kind of... No one thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl, but no one really wants to face them either. That's how this Brewers team feels. I don't see this Brewers team going to the World Series, but I feel like they're going to get at least one series win. So I took them in 3 over the D-backs.
I think I'm going to agree with you here. I think while Arizona has the lineup advantage, Milwaukee always has those timely hits. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, maybe the best in the National League. I think if it comes down, I think it's going to come down to that 3rd game, and that's where I think they have the advantage over Arizona with the bullpen. And, they got Wade Miley, Adrian Hauser. I think they got more pitching. Their defense is better. And I think if they can get some timely hits, I also have them taken in 3. So I'll agree with you there.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to argue into agreeing with me, but it ended up working. I just feel like the Brewers team, they just seem fishy. It feels like they're going to get something.
Little Brew Crew magic.
Yeah, little Brew Crew magic.
I can see that, yeah. All right, we agree.
All right, Phillies, Marlins. What are you thinking? And you're coming. I don't know if you know this, but I kind of have a soft spot for the Marlins.
Okay.
But I still took Phillies in 2. I'm just tossing that out there.
You know what? Once again, I think I'm going to agree with you. But I had this one before we did this. Love the Phillies 1-2 punch here with Wheeler and Nola. Nola hasn't been as good this year, but he's still one of those guys. They also have the bullpen advantage. And the better bats. I think they're just the better team all around. This is not super hard for me. Philly's got the 6th best bullpen in baseball, while Marlins got about 22. So, and they got Wheeler and Nola with the better lineup. Yeah, give me Phillies.
See, the thing is, this Phillies team is I would love to see them. I would actually love to see the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers, because the Diamondbacks would play the Braves and the Dodgers would play the Phillies, because I think this Phillies team is actually better than they were last year. It just happens to be this NL, I think, is overall stronger than last year's, and playing the Braves is what they're going to have to do in our predictions if the Brewers win. So I really hope we can get a Phillies-Braves pennant because I do think that Phillies team can beat the Dodgers. But
Okay.
if that would happen, but obviously in our predictions that doesn't happen. So I'm just saying I want to toss it out there because I'm about to have the Phillies lose to the Braves in the DS. So I'm just tossing that out there that I really like this Phillies team and I think they're even better than they were last year. But it's just a matter of seeding. So
Yeah, credit to the Marlins, though. I mean, Alcantara has a down year. He's out for this series. Yuri Perez is out for the series. They got Luzardo and Garrett going first 2 games with a lesser bullpen. They don't have the same bats as the Phillies do, but they're making it work. I mean, credit to the Marlins. They did it without. They've done a lot with less, but I think it ends here and the Phillies take them out.
well, what's funny about the Marlins is I think they're worse than they've been in the past, like on paper.
Right.
But then all their players have played better.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, and they've just won more game. I don't know. This Marlins team, I don't want to say they smell fishy because it's really on the nose, but they do. They just seem primed for a wild card exit.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the DS. So let's do Braves, Phillies first.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of deliberation on this one.
Yep. Neither do I. I'm gonna go with Braves, and I'll say the Phillies can squeak out 1 game.
So Braves in 4?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've written
Okay.
down.
Phillies can squeak out 1. I mean, let's be real here. Braves, great bullpen, great starting pitching. The lineup is unbelievable. They got so many guys there. It's not. I mean, as good as the hitters are in Philadelphia, Trey Turner. I mean, he's been picking it up late. Credit to Phillies fans. I mean, Braves are a whole nother level. I don't think I can do it. I can't pick against them. I'll take Braves here.
I'm with you. You and I have been talking about the Braves running this NL since probably July. It feels like they just took over. So, yeah, I agree. Braves, got to be the Braves. So, Braves in 4. Let's switch over to Dodgers, Brewers. What are you feeling here?
Woo. I'm going to stick with some Brew Crew magic. I'll take Brew Crew in 5.
I had Brewers in 4. What?
Brewers in
yes,
4.
I was
wow.
like, I just hate picking the Dodgers in postseason. I feel like they never get it done, and everybody's always hyping them up. So I was like, the Brewers, they just feel like the weird team that's just going to catch it, and so I took them. I'm like, might as well.
I agree. I think both the Brewers and the Blue Jays are going to have some postseason magic here. Woodruff, if he might be out the wild card, but he could come back the next series. So I think if he comes back, you have that 3-headed monster of Burns, Woodruff, Peralta. You still have Hauser and Miley. I mean, they got guys here. I mean, they have so many arms in this bullpen and the starting rotation.
Pitching wins playoffs.
They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. I mean, you still have some decent bats here. If they can pull off some decent timely hits, and their pitching does their thing, I think they take out the Dodgers in 5.
All right, NLCS. We got Braves, Brewers. What are you rocking with?
Gonna go Braves, and gonna take them in. This is a 7-game.
Yeah, it's 7 game.
Gonna take them in. I'll take them in 6. I think the Brew Crew puts up a little bit of a fight, more than any other team will. Once again. I mean, we saw these two teams play earlier in the year, and the Braves just smoked them. I think they swept them. It looked like it wasn't even a competition. Bats are too good. Their pitching's not. I don't think it's quite as good as the Brew Crew, but it's right there. But the bats are just a whole nother level. So, take the Braves.
I took the Braves in 5. I just think this Braves team's on a whole nother level, and so I think it's funny. Our NLs was exactly the same. So now we're gonna get over to the World Series. Okay, so Orioles, Braves, World Series. I'd be absolutely losing my mind. Granted, it's the 2 number 1 picks, but sometimes things are just simple. So that's why I went with the 2 number 1 seeded teams. Both teams won over 100 games. I feel like America would be happy with either of these teams winning. Most people are probably – the MLB is definitely going to be marketing the Orioles more because it's like the Orioles magic and it's like the underrated team and everything. Team came out of nowhere. They're a very fun team. But I'm going to take the Braves in 5. I know 5 sounds outrageous. I feel like 6 is the way every World Series goes, so I didn't feel like picking 6, and I definitely don't see it going 7. So I went with 5 just because I think this Braves team is super good. World Series MVP, probably Matt Olson because he'll hit like 6 home runs in a 5-game series or something crazy. So that was my pick.
Like a lot of what you said there, this Braves team's cracked. Like, what are we doing here?
And they're doing the thing where during the first round when they have a bye, they're like practicing and playing an inter-squad scrimmage to stay loose.
They're on a whole other level. I'm also picking the Braves. I'll go in 6. I'll give them 6. I'll give the Blue Jays a couple there. The starting pitching, you got Strider, Fried, Wright, Bryce Elder. And the bullpen is one of the best in ball as well. The lineup is elite top to bottom. No holes in that lineup. well managed, well coached, well put together. This team, and they're locked up for the next 8 years. I mean, I'd look foolish picking against them. I think. I mean, until someone beats them, I'm gonna say they're the best team in the league and they're favored. I have not seen the team beat them all year. They look like they're the best team. I can't pick against them. So I'll take Braves and 6, and I think we agree, both the World Series champions.
Okay, so that's great. Well, we had very different picks, but it ended the same way with us both picking the Braves.
Yep.
So Ben gave his pick. He said Orioles over Diamondbacks. So when the Diamondbacks go out in the wild card, we can all laugh in his face. All right, well, RJ, got anything else you want to say?
I think that's it. Thank you for having me on, Ryan. It's been a
It's
pleasure.
great. It's great. I'm sure RJ's going to come on again after the
can't
wild
wait.
card round and the divisional.
Yeah,
RJ did great. He gave much better analysis than me, so that's why it was great to have him on.
We can review our picks then, and after the wild card, we can review our picks and then repick because we'll be wrong,
we can
I'm sure,
we can always
so.
repick. Yeah, that'd be fun.
so I'm
and
sure
then
we'll be wrong.
obviously, if the Diamondbacks win, then Ben can laugh at our faces, which is it. Yeah, I might have to be a
There you go.
Diamondbacks hater for a week and a half now. So the games just started today. We can check the scores for a little bit of fun. MLB scores. Let's see what's up with the playoffs. The Rangers already beat the Rays 4-0, and the Blue Jays are currently losing to the Twins 0-3. So
I'm a crisp 0 for 2, so that feels great. That's rough. Off to not a great start, but it's okay.
Hey, it's
I'm a
all right.
comeback guy. Comeback guy.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you'll be fine. You'll be
We're
fine.
fine.
All right, that's been all for this episode. I will catch you all Thursday with my MLB predictions. I just did that. With the NFL talk, got a fun little segment I'm going to do at the end. We're going to be talking about which players / coaches / any position should be on ESPN as future personalities. Spoiler alert, Baker Mayfield has to be. Come on, right? We'll catch you all in the next one. RJ's going to be back for more MLB talk coming up soon. See you on the next one.
Peace.
All right, now.